is Stories Untold. My name is Pule Molebati. A warm welcome to this show. A few weeks ago, we brought you a groundbreaking story of an interfaith organization for religious leaders living with HIV and AIDS. The organization is also strengthening the capacity of churches to deal with gender-based violence. Sanarela has empowered women in so many spheres of life. Today, we begin our show with a quick recap of who they are and the work that they do. Let's have a look.
I got married 2009 when I was 21 years old. That's when I got married. It did got physical. This thing, you know, what happened is just like small disagreements we had that led him to have that anger, that led him to be that angry person. Mina angwazi ukwata. Okay, by then I used to. Ukwata I wouldn't talk endlini for like weeks, you know. For the fact that he doesn't see this as a problem, therefore this is how I'm going to react to Tula and not talk at all. Yeah, and then the part that I can mention, it got physical, that I still remember, of which it wasn't in a good position for him to do that. It's when he came, nabantu abadala, like my parents, coming to talk to me about us, our marriage. Then it happened, he slapped me in front of my parents. So that was very disrespectful of him to do that.
At the time, Mammelo's husband was a respected leader at church.
Actually, this is my first time sharing my story. So I was very, very distant a person. That person doesn't talk at all. I was an introvert. You know, I didn't speak out about the pain I was feeling. I would just cry my pain out, and that was it. You know, so even at church, nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody knew the pain I had.
Why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you feel the need to talk about it?
There was nobody that I can talk to about my story, because from the outside, when people look at things from outside, they see a perfect life. They see, like, you know, a happy life. They don't know what is happening inside the walls, you know. So I had to, that's what I told myself, I had to stand strong and, like, be that person to protect him, to protect my kids, to protect my marriage. That's what went through my mind at that time.
Mammelo endured this life for 8 years, but unlike other women in this country, she was fortunate to walk out with her life. And this is how Sanarela and Noktula have assisted.
Umam Noktula, I know her ngomfundisi Nomtandazo. We used to gym together in Nomtandazo. Then she organized the event based on the GBV. That's when I met Umama Noktula. They made me realize and know more about the GBV, which it's not only the physical part. Yes, that's what they normally did for me. Like they let me know, they opened my eyes, there is more to this. There's GBV, like emotionally, sexually, you know, it brings down your confidence as a woman. So you need to stand up as a woman. You need to know your story. Our pastors out there should change how they do things. You know, they do have the couple seminars, marriage seminars, but there are real issues that they don't talk about. Marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, and all that. I believe, let us come out, you know, as churches, as pastors, let them meet us halfway to understand, regardless, we are trying, like we are working hard, we are working towards righteousness, to be right with God, if I may put it that way. But at the same time, it's a fact. We see these things happening. And uma ulimala moyeni. And that when ulimala moyeni, like, especially if you're a woman, like something is wrong.
I think 2020 was the most of the heavy stories that I have ever listened to. So I always joke and say, probably for the whole week, I'll be releasing all the stories in the world because I'm not able to share the things that I whatever that she says with me, I can't be sharing, except that I go and debrief and do my own, But it makes me feel hopeful. It makes me feel that we are breaking the silence. It makes me feel that we are going somewhere because women, for the first time, especially in the religious space, they are able to open up and say, these are the wounds that we are carrying. It makes me feel that, I am doing something that it comes from my own lived experience, I can say, because I don't just talk about when I'm addressing rape. It's something that I have experienced personally. When I talk about issues of emotional abuse, it's something that I know from my own personal experience. But when women are able to get that space to share whatever that they share, it makes me feel that I am doing something. I have found my purpose.
But re le kereke ke nahana hore e ka re ho ka lokiswa hore bontate le bomme ba ke ba tsebe di-position tsa bone and ngwana moruti a sa tshilo ngwana ha ka hutse ha hutse a hodisitswe hantle ke nahana hore
A pastor currently being abused but scared of what the congregation will say, but that is a story for another day as she is not able to share just yet.
Welcome back to Stories Untold. We are nearing the end of our show. Sonorella's work with religious leaders has inspired these young women to be the champions of change in their community as they seek to assist victims of gender-based violence and rehabilitate perpetrators.
So we decided to no man into eso la eswaneville ayikho and nala ama cases maningi we GBV but into ignored engasi nanomuwazi uthi uzibani bani uyashawa nanani but akekho umuntu oyenza next ngaleyo nto leyo. So we decided as a group of friends to get together sihlale phansi sikhulume ngayo lento ukuthi how would it be nasingayenza something like an NPO la eSwaneville for our community ukuthi nabo nababa nama grievances nani zabo they can have a personal space where they can come bayazi ukuthi lapho bazoba safe.
This initiative has been in existence for 4 months.
And remember the case abantwana bayithu ababulawe ubabakhe ne the abantwana bayithu bebehlala la eSwaneville. They only went to Brett because of ubababo bekesebenza eBrett, you understand? And then we have another case again yomntana in 2013 a girl child was raped and killed 3 houses from Gibo, you understand? And this guy nyana sakhona sincane. Ever since the case ayizange solve, you understand? So even if family wants it closure, even now, ayizange solve again. And again, eSwaneville, it's far from a police station. Let's say, manje, you are facing whatever that situation, abuse, and you don't even have money. You're given a police station, you understand? So that's why we formed this group, which at least our victims and perpetrators can have a safe space that is nearby. And there's this other thing, which a police station, boy, minor child, maybe you came to report Guinea, abuse, you understand? They will tell you, which come with an adult. What if it's the adult that's abusing you? You understand? They won't take your story seriously. Yeah, that is why we formed this group. Which even Nabantwana who are facing difficulties in Magibo, they can come and report.
Each with their own stories. Some asked for their identities to be concealed.
Mina, I got into a relationship at a very young age. I dated my baby did at the age of 20 years, but I dated loyo muntu loyo for 9 years. Kuleyo 9 years leyo yonke bekangishaya ayenza noma yini ayifunayo. Nami benginganayo lento ukuthi no uyangimshiye because bengizitshela ukuthi uyangithanda kuzo zonke lezi zinto ezibekazenza nasekhaya futhi bebazi ukuthi okay fine siyaxabana uyangishaya and everything, but it was normalized because of abantu abathandanayo bayalwa bayashayana and everything. That's how I came to ukuthi no, it's not right as umuntu na uthandana naye ayenze zonke lezo zinto lezo and not be sorry about it at the end of the day, because uyazi ukuthi nefamily yakhabo leyo ntombazana they will back him, or nabantu bakhaya kibo they won't do anything about it. That's how mina decided ukuthi no, we as women should sifome izinto ezifana nalezi ukuthi sihlukanise, sikwazi ukuhlukanisa between i-abuse and nento enormal. It took a lot because of siqalele group maybe 3 months into it ngilokho ngingakwazi ukukhuluma about my own personal experience, izinto ezenzekile because of naleyo abuse nasekhaya beyikhona besides ukuthi ku-boyfriend yaqhubeka, but I didn't ukuthi ngingayikhethi on elilo ukuthi vele nasekhaya into beyenzeka and bengiyibona kuyinto enormal. So noma mdladla naye ithena kwaba ukuthi okay kuvuleka amehlo lokuthi no, into so funa if ever funa iphele kanjani. So we thank her a lot because of as our sponsor yethu nayo yonke into, she's been there kuma counseling nayo yonke into, she's been everywhere.
So we're planning on doing in Green Door so that
Green Door.
Green Door, it's creating a safe space for victims or perpetrators. We are not chasing away ama perpetrators because they too they need help, and hence kukhona ama rehabilitation centers.
Kids or even young people that comes to me and say, for the first time I am able to I want someone to listen, to share my story. So it makes me feel that there's something that I am doing and something is happening, and the world will be a better place for women because they are now in their healing process. You know, when you start talking about your issues, you're beginning your healing process. And when women are healed, just imagine how much of the world that we're gonna change, because we are now feeling that we are okay. You hear stories like women cannot support each other, because women are wounded. Women are, they are caring so much, they have had so much. But when these processes are happening, for me, each and every day, even if I meet a new person, a new woman, I always say, I've already knew that 2 years, 3 years down the line, there will be so much change in these women. And even for myself also, there's something that when she shares, when somebody shares, I get my own feeling, and I become a better person.
Sarahina Mayoyo was born and bred in the Eastern Cape with a childhood that was not as pleasant. Her experiences as a child haunted her.
Sarahina is a wife, a mother, and a daughter. I was born in Dantsane in the Eastern Cape, and I grew up there, but I grew up in a lot of places. So at the age of 5, I was sexually molested in a family setting. I wasn't living with my biological parents at the time. I was living in one of the family homes, and it happened that in the family home that I was in, one of the older guys who was living there started paying a lot of attention to me at the age of 5. And I think because of yearning for attention at that time, which I wasn't getting there as much as I was used to when I was just born at another setting of the family, it was easy for him to get there because he would pay me compliments, and I liked him because he saw me. He paid attention to me, so I trusted him. And one night he just started touching me, and from there it became full-on sexual molestation up until I was about to turn 7.
After being abused for so many years, her abuser up and left the family and disappeared.
He packed his bags, he left, he didn't really tell anyone that he was going. And from then on, I think a lot of confusion happened in me because I felt like I was damaged, but I also felt like, why did he leave me? You know, as much as it was painful, he was giving me attention. So now the only person who was giving me attention is also leaving again. I felt that people leave me, and maybe that's how life is for me. And growing up from there, in school, I was angry, I became a bully, I started beating people up. I fought a lot with boys, not with girls, because I felt I was going to hit you first before you hit me. I learned about alcohol. I started drinking from grade 10 in school, and I remember it was for me a numbing tool. You know, I was trying to forget what I had gone through because it kept playing in my mind. You know, I couldn't forget it. And whenever I'd remember it, it was like it was happening yesterday. After high school, went to Cape Town, try and make a life for myself. The problem was that the pain, I was moving around with it because then I was addicted to alcohol and I started, you know, experimenting with drugs as well. And all of this for me was just to cope, to try and forget. Up until I realized that my coping mechanisms were not working because I drink, I get drunk, I still remember. I smoke weed, I'm high, I still remember.
She tried to end her pain by ending her life.
And I attempted suicide 4 times actually in my life. And every time I would get back from an attempt, I'd always be angry. Uguti, why am I back here? What am I still doing here? Why do I keep being saved? For what? So that I can come back and remember what happened to me and live a life that is not going anywhere because I feel damaged. And every time I leave a place, it was always running away, but also saying where I'm going to start afresh. But the problem was that I was running away with the pain. I got to Johannesburg and later on in Joburg, I didn't have a place to stay. I was homeless. And I spent my first night at the toilets of Eastgate Mall. Yep, and from all of those experiences, what I just didn't understand was why am I still alive? Why am I still here? I didn't feel like I had a purpose, you know. Uguti, my purpose is maybe to just carry pain. The abuser who had stopped abusing me physically still had power over me years later.
Sarahina's pain was saved by love.
My pain was so deep that I could actually inflict pain on another person and not feel anything because of the wound that I carried. But then life had different plans, I guess, for me because none of that happened. And I met a crossroads in my life. And my crossroads was meeting a guy who professed his love, really, fell in love with me. I didn't believe him because I felt I know men, I know what they want. I've known men from the age of 5. They take from you. It was love that brought me back because this guy just did not give up. And it so happens that the guy is Mr. Mayoyo, my husband now. And I think his love made me face what I'd been running away from, my wound. It made me go back to go and see what really happened, to go and perhaps accept what happened to me because I couldn't change it. Try and walk a journey of forgiveness because I was missing out on living my current life because I was stuck in my past life. My book, which I wrote, because then I remember thinking, how many of us are there? How many who have gone through difficult, painful things at the age of 5 or 4, and they're carrying a wound that is stealing from them right now. And there's no one to say to them, I know what you're going through, and there's a way out. And that's what brought me to write the book, to say that I want someone to connect with the story and say that, okay, so if it could happen for Sarahina, there's hope for me too. And the title of the book is I Fell in Love with My Abuser, comma, but God. And the reason why I call out the comma is because many of us have had painful experiences from the past, tragic experiences. So somebody else's story will read different there, but we all have a story. But then we put a full stop after the story. We think that's the end of our lives. Our lives are just pain. So this story and this book is to come and remove the full stop, to say that no, the story is not done. You're still alive, you're still breathing. We can write a new chapter. And mine ended with a comma, and after the comma it was but. But saying we don't care what happened before, there's a new chapter that now we're looking forward to. And for me, God is the source, for me, that wrote a new story for me. I started seeing myself through God's eyes, and I realized, Uguti, I may have thought that I'm damaged, but God doesn't see me damaged. And that's the Sarahina that I wanted to start getting to know.
Loving herself and writing her book was her saving grace. Now author and life coach, Sarahina's pain turned to her power.
When you read my story, you will perhaps have all these titles for me. Uguti, I'm a rape victim, promiscuous girl at some point, addicted to alcohol at some point, street kid at some point. I always say that, no, say those things, but after everything, put a comma. And then say, comma, she's a wife now, comma, she's a mother now, comma, she's a life coach, comma, she's a speaker, comma, she's a businesswoman. Because the story doesn't end. And that's really what I'm about. To say that, let's not put full stops. The story is still writing itself.
And on that very inspiring note, we hope that today's show has empowered you and propelled you to speak up and seek help if you are a victim of gender-based violence. From myself, Pule Molebati, and the rest of the team, it's a goodbye.